Hello, fellow students. Today we will discuss India-Maldives relationship. Now, we will discuss it in detail and analyzing different aspects of it, and also we'll try to understand why the situation has escalated to as it has in the recent scenario, where we are seeing articles like this, where Maldives suspends three official for insulting Prime Minister Modi, or this one, where strained ties in India-Maldives relationship. So, what has led to this strained ties? So recently, there was a tweet by Prime Minister Modi. It was on his official handle, where some of the pictures and a video was posted promoting tourism in Lakshadweep Island. Now, this video was perceived as an attempt of taking the tourism away from island nation. So it was perceived by some of the Maldives government officials as a step by India to promote tourism towards Lakshadweep, which may take away from their own tourism. So these three deputy ministers of Mohammad Muizzu government, which came into power in 2023, on a controversial India Out campaign. These three ministers they made derogatory remarks against Indians in general and particularly against Prime Minister Modi, which naturally led to a backlash on social media as a boycott Maldives campaign started trending in India. Now, how is this relation deteriorated so much? To understand that, let us first look at the India-Maldives relation in a more broad perspective. So first and foremost, the important factor is location factor. So location. So if you look here, Maldives is situated right here, right in the center of Indian Ocean. And this gives it a strategic advantage as it is situated in between the global east-west shipping lines. These shipping lines that are going from here and from here. And these are the island nations of Maldives. So because it is strategically located and the geographical proximity it has with India. So it is situated around 70 nautical miles away from Lakshadweep and around 300 nautical miles from west coast of India. It is situated at the commercial sea lines and also it is a key element of India's maritime calculus. So India, it aspires to become net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. And looking at the location of Maldives, one can understand then how important significant its locations is. Going forward, if we look at the economic aspect, so about a quarter of the GDP of the nation depends on tourism. And Indians, they constitute about 11.8% of this total of the tourists that go to Maldives. And so that is a big share in itself. We are also contenders for projects like Greater Malay project, connectivity project, or the I'll read it from here. Uthuru Thila Falhu Naval Base Harbour. So all these aspects show how economically we are mutually dependent. In terms of bilateral trade also, we have around $500 million worth of trade between the two countries, which is mostly skewed in the favor of India. India exports a lot more than it imports from Maldives. But our tourists in turn go there and there's a good exchange of economy between the two nations. Also culturally, we have enjoyed good relationship with the nation. In terms of defense, Indians train about 70% of the national defense forces of Maldives. We've also supplied them with two Dhruv light helicopters and a Dornier aircraft, for which we have stationed about 70 of our troops to maintain it. And these very troops have been asked to evacuate recently. So other events which highlight the special relationship. So there was a coup attempt in Maldives in 1988, which is called Operation Cactus. So Operation Cactus is called when Indians went to the rescue of President Gayoom. So this fellow businessman Abdullah Lutufi, he tried to overthrow the incumbent government with the help of some of the mercenaries that came from People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Eelam. And India promptly went to their rescue and thwarted the attempt of coup. In 2014, the only water treatment plant of the nation had stopped working. And India went to the rescue immediately. We sent our C-17 Globemasters and our INS Sukanya and INS Deepak with drinking water on board. So we can see that the relation between the two countries is it's not just in terms of economy, defense, it's a very broad relationship where we enjoy a good people to people connect. Our civil society engagement is high. Even in times of COVID, we started a special operation called Operation Sanjeevani, where we supplied essential food grains and edible and edibles despite the logistic challenges in the wake of lockdown. So we all know how everybody was suffering at the time of lockdown. And India, under its vaccine Maitri and special program called Operation Sanjeevani, we had assisted the nation of Maldives. We are also invested in projects like Uthula Thela Falhu Naval Base. It's very hard to pronounce. And Greater Malay Connectivity Project. So this shows that our relationship goes much beyond just economic transaction or just tourists or so on. In terms of diplomatic and political relation, so British was in control of the islands till 1965, where we relinquished its control, and India established its diplomatic ties. So up until 1980, there was our mission from Colombo used to manage a relationship with Maldives, but in 1980 we have ambassadorial representative in the nation, and since 2008, which is the year of democratic transition of the government, we have a multi-stakeholder engagement with the nation. So what happened? Why this situation? So this India first. The idea of India first is that all the presidents or most of the presidents of Maldives used to make India their first visit right after election, making India first. But recently, the President Muizu government, it came into power with a campaign called India Out campaign. So how did we arrive from India first to India Out? So the genesis of the same can be traced to 2014, where Abdullah Yamin got elected, and it was a noticeable tilt towards China, where most of the projects were being given to China, and agreements were being signed or ports were being developed, and this ran into some of the financial troubles. Naturally, if you deal with China, you run into financial troubles. So Maldives now owes China $1.37 billion, which is about 20% of its public debt. It's a big deal. This is the data from World Bank. So also within these 5 years, there was a little bit of simmering anti-India statement within the nation, which changed when in 2018 President Ibrahim Mohammed Soleh came to power, and he said that India first, and he came to India as his first state visit, and our relationship naturally improved. We signed a few agreements, which also includes that Uthuru Thila Falhu deal, which was signed in 2021. Also, we had signed joint development of National Defence Force Coast Guard Harbour. So this government so the tenure ended, and President Muizu, he started his campaign in the name of India Out. So all this discontent that was simmering back here, which was due to debt rat and 5 years of Abdullah Yamin's government, he again banked on the same idea and started on the basis of India Out and won by about 54% votes, which is a clear margin. So also, and then he took steps to ensure that he was also going to stand by his statement of India Out. He skipped India and instead went to Turkey for his first state visit, first official visit. This was a break from tradition. Later on, he went to UAE, and now recently he has gone to China for a 5-day visit, in which he signed a 20-point agreement. And yet he has not come to India or made any effort to meet Prime Minister Modi, which is a clear distinction from the past. He also revoked the 2019 agreement in which India was supposed to conduct survey in Maldivian waters. So it was basically an agreement signed between the then government and our government, and he refused to renew it, stating that he does not intend for India to continue to remain in the island. He also took steps to he has made or officially asked Indian government to remove the troops that are stationed in Maldives. So this is a clear there is a clear projection from that country that it doesn't want India to be there, and it is making efforts to move towards China, which is a little bit of concern for us naturally because of the reasons that we had discussed earlier. Now, what can be the implications of the shift in government's policy, in Maldives government's policy? So if you look at the Indian Ocean region, so Maldives, this is the region that Maldives controls. Now, if it allows or if it joins China's BRI, or it allows Chinese vessels to station here, it becomes a headache for India. So naturally, we are concerned. Also, it is situated at the center of the liquid energy shipments. So it is situated very strategically in terms of global trade, especially in terms of liquid energy. So we may see a greater presence of China within the region, and we can see a repeat of what happened between 2013 and 18, where anti-India statement continues to simmer, and there is a back and forth between the two nations, which is naturally not in interest of either of the countries. So uh, later on, when President Muizu, he went to China and he signed a 20-point MOU with China. And so broadly, we'll discuss what are the important factors that were discussed. So it is an action plan for building China-Maldives comprehensive strategic and cooperative partnership between 2024 and 28. Also, Muizu government decided to skip India-led Colombo Security Conclave. Instead, he joined Maldives participation Global Security Initiative, which is started by China. So naturally, the message is that we are not going to join your security enclaves. Instead, we'll join the one from China. So which may mean that going forward, China may have a greater presence in Indian Ocean, which is a very good, a very good news for China, and kind of bad news for India, we can say. So recently, China made a statement which is very funny. China said it firmly opposes external interference in internal matters of internal affairs of Maldives. Now imagine China saying India that he doesn't like countries interfering in other people's internal matters. So this is the state of affairs as it is right now. Now, what can we expect going forward? So going forward, we can expect the situation. If we can expect the two countries to have a similar situation that was there in between 2014 and 18 era. Recently, some efforts were made to dial down the rhetoric by different agencies distancing themselves from the statement of the. Especially, there was a statement by tourism sector that it does the messages made by the three deputy ministers were their personal and did not have any bearing on the government's opinion. So going forward, India can take steps to improve its tourism in Lakshadweep. Overall, we would like to have a healthy engagement with Maldives because nobody wants a hostile neighbor, especially not country like India, where we have aspirations like Sagar, where we want security and growth for all in the region. So going forward, it remains to be seen that how situation escalates. But this, whatever the situation is right now, we can expect it to simmer for another 4 or 5 years, unless a breakthrough happens, which remains to be seen. So I hope that this helps you in understanding this particular issue in a better way. So going forward, whenever you go through articles about Maldives, you can keep all these aspects in mind, and you have a broader idea that okay, fine, this government was in favor or had good relationship with India up until 2013, and it changed after 2013. So between 13 and 15, our relationship deteriorated, which was revived in 2018 by President Soleh, and this situation is again back to where it was because the existing president was also a member of the then government between 2013 and 18. So keeping this in mind, I hope that you have a better understanding of the topic, and